Good morning, sunshine. Welcome to Morning Inspiration with Friends with our host, Miss Inspiration. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe as you sit back and listen.
Good morning. Oh God, good morning. I hope we have no delay this morning. Lord, cover this broadcast. Cover this broadcast, Lord. All right. So I am your girl Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. We're here with another episode of Morning Inspiration with Friends. Sorry that I'm a little late. I was tired, right? This morning. And I don't have to work today technically. So I'm like, I'm tired. But we are here. We are alive. We are well. We are blessed. So today I want to talk about the beauty of outgrowing who you used to be. I pray that everyone experiences growth and growth to the point they can see it for themselves. That's the important part, right? Growth to the point they can sit and reflect and realize you're talking about me. You're talking about me, right? Um, and that's something that I want to discuss because I was seeing a lot of posts this weekend, quite a few, and I saw a post and just how women are responding to breakups and they're crashing out, how people respond to just conflict in the everyday life. And I'm really just sitting here, like every time that I'm reading it, because I'm either on Threads or I'm on social media and I'm listening to it. It really just made me say, thank God I don't live like that anymore. Because I saw a lot of my old ways in the stories that I was reading or hearing. And not in a judgmental way, but in a grateful way, because I realized how much I've grown. And like I said, it's a beautiful thing when you can look at or listen to a situation and you can say to yourself, man, I'm so happy I don't do those things no more. And I'm talking about not like the things that that you're no longer doing as a teenager. We're talking about things that I did in my 20s, 30s. And I was able to see that, right? So growth is going to show up in small realizations, right? You're gonna realize things. Like I said, me watching or listening to these stories that people were posting on like Reddit, on Threads, and I'm just sitting here like, dang, like I've grown a lot because I would have handled the situation the same way that they did, and the way that they did it was not the best way. And so when I say that, I want people to realize is that we always have multiple choices in a situation. So one that I saw, the girl ended up crashing out. That was her solution to the situation. And I remember being that person, like not being able to handle certain things. And the only solution I felt was necessary was a crash out. And so when you start realizing just what that crash out does to you physically, that's to me, that's the most important thing, right? Physically, how can my body handle this crash out? Because it raises your pressure. It's not healthy, right? And when I say that to people, they're like, but you don't understand when I dealt with, I do get it. Right. I may not understand exactly what but I'm telling you, though, this reaction, this way that you are responding, it's not going to be beneficial to you in the long run, right? So eventually you got to get to a point where you realize that the old habits, because even when you're looking back and you're listening to things, it does something within you. It kind of annoys you because you're like, dang, yo, you was out here doing that. Like that's how I felt. Like you was out here doing that, Tanisha. But it just made me realize in that space, like there is so much that I've come out of, right? I've come out of this, the angry girl, the girl mad at everything, the girl that didn't forgive, right? I always say, if you want to know how true it is for someone being able to change, look at the way I respond if you mention my father's name, right? I could not stand my father. I hated my father for years. My father wasn't around, right? And so I remember when my niece was born, my sister allowed him to come. And I was talking about this weekend. My sister allowed him to come to the hospital to see my niece. And I was mad. Like, I was mad. Tearing up, cursing up. Oh, blah, 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 blah. I'm going off. Man, that wasn't healthy. It wasn't healthy for my sister. That wasn't healthy for my niece. That wasn't healthy for me, right? And so when I realized that I had to let go of that unforgiveness that I had, and it took me a very long time. My niece just turned 18 last month, okay? So we're talking about, I'm just getting to the point within like the last, maybe it's been 10 years now, okay? Okay, it's been about 10 years now. That's a long time, God. Thank you. Right. But within the last 10 years, I've had to learn how to forgive him and not sit in the past and not allow that to manifest and continue to live in my future and in my present. And for a lot of people, they didn't believe that was possible. Like, people didn't believe that I can actually forgive him. They feel like healing is, good morning, Paula. They feel like healing is not even real. And so when I tell people, like, healing is just choosing different, and I decided to choose not being angry. I chose to sit and listen to what my father had to say. I had to sit and choose to listen to God's instruction, because God was the one that told me to forgive him. Healing is choosing, right? And it's choosing a different path. And so what I ended up doing was I chose that I didn't want to carry that, right? Again, I had to get down to a point where it made sense to me even more. And for a lot of people, and I'm talking about unforgiveness in particular, it attacks your body in different ways. So there's a lot of times people don't realize, like, pain in certain parts of the body. It could be really unforgiveness. And once you let that go, you start to realize that your body starts to react and respond differently. And so that was something that I physically experienced myself. And so when I say that, I'm not saying that from just forgive everybody and just let them back into your life. That's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is for you to release that from you. I never said to reconnect with them. I never said that's going to be your new bestie. I never said that you need to, when God blesses you, you got to bless them unless he tells you to. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying you need to forgive something, right? And that's a different choice, right? And so once, like I said, I'm really sitting here and I'm just doing all this reflecting, because I'm reading comments and I'm reading how people are responding, and I'm just like, dang, I would have did the same thing 15 years ago. I would have did the same thing 20 years ago, because I know how I used to handle things, right? And when you're looking at yourself 15, 20 years later and you don't see any growth, this is where I want you to start understanding, where in my life is there something that I need to start choosing different. Right, we need to start, like, we got to first call ourselves out for the unhealthy habits that we have. Let's be 100% real, right? I saw a post middle of the night. See, I should have been sleeping instead of up on Threads being inspired. But I saw a post, and the person said, let's normalize asking someone if they have the capacity to be in a relationship when we're dating. I said, no. The responsibility is on the person. You need to know, if we're having a conversation and I'm saying, yo, I'm ready for a relationship, I'm ready for love, da 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 da. That's not my job to turn around and ask you, do you have the capacity? No, that is the responsibility for you to look at yourself and say, nah, I'm not ready for that. I'm not there. So you know what? Let's bow out. But that's not what people do. So I simply said to that person in that thread, I was like, no, that is something that they have to get to at the realization. Even if I ask you that question, you can still sit here and lie to me and say yes, and you're still not ready. Right. So a true person who's going through growth and who is actually being self-reflective, who is being accountable, they will be able to listen to the person who is saying to them that this is what I want. I want XYZ. And they will be able to make a healthy decision of saying, you know what? I'm not there. I'm not ready. Let me leave you alone and stop bothering you. If we got to that point of growth, do you know how much better the dating life would be? Because I always talk about this, and I don't want to talk about dating today, but I always say I need the people. It's like a playground, right? We need to go back to the playground. You want to play with the sand, then you go to the sandbox. You want to play in the monkey bars, you would go to the monkey bars, right? There was different sections in the playground. I didn't go to the sandbox because I didn't like sands, right? I didn't want sand on me. I didn't want it in my shoes. I did not want it touching me. So Tanisha did not go into the sandbox. So I was not playing with the sands. And then I was over here. Was I on the market? I was on a seesaw. That was my thing, right? Just do the seesaw. You gotta find the people and stay with those people that enjoy doing what you do. And that's the same thing with dating. You don't want to be in a relationship? Find the person who don't want to be in a relationship. There are people out here who's just looking for a companion. There are people out here who are just looking for friends with benefits. Find if everyone can be honest. It's a twofold. Be honest about what it is that you want so that those people can find you. And then you be honest about what it is that you want, and then y'all co-mingle together. But if I want a relationship, I want love, I want to get married, like, yeah, we need to figure this out. And if that's not what you have no desire, and it's a difference of I do want that, but I'm trying to work towards things, whatever. That's a different situation. But still, I will now Tanisha's not entertaining that. But there's some people who are like literally in connections with people. They want to get married and the other person doesn't. And this is how we end up seeing those stories. We was together for 7 years and I snapped. Yeah, you snapped because he lied and he told you and he let you keep believing this. And you kept thinking that next year next year we're gonna get married. Next year he's gonna engage. All right, let's stop there because we're not gonna stay there, right? Don't. But the last thing I want to talk about, going back to the beauty of outgrowing who you used to be, is that don't shame your past, right? Don't shame it and don't be ashamed of it. You gotta appreciate that growth, right? I love being able to even I would comment, man, I used to do that, but I'm thankful I don't do that anymore. Right? I used to be a very avoidant attachment to the point I felt like it was detachment, right? I did not emotionally attach to people. Just didn't care. I had an ex-boyfriend. I'll never forget. We were walking down the street. He would try to hold my hand. I popped him. Like, it was not healthy, right? And I was in a relationship with someone I did not like. I did not like them because I was raised be with the person that likes you. And I ran with that, and I believe that, and I'm here to tell you it's not the best decision. And so someone had posted that, like how detached that they are, and they don't emotionally open up, and that was like, and it was so many people. Yeah, I'm the same way, and I'm the same way, and I commented, I'm so thankful I overcame that. I'm so thankful I no longer do that, because that is a very hurtful thing when you're with someone and in your heart you don't want to be with that person. Like, you don't like them, you don't want them touching you. That is a very horrible feeling, and I hate that I did that, right? And I hate that. So, and I admit that, and I ask God to forgive me, because that is like, we shouldn't be doing that, especially when you intentionally, like, you just have this level of awareness, right? I am so thankful. And someone was like, "Oh, so you think that you're better than us?" No. But I'm thankful that I no longer do that. I'm thankful that I can see that there was a problem in that. And that is not, and it's not just about me, right? Sometimes people act because they don't care about other people. And the more that I healed, the more that I cared about people. This is the reason why I teach, right? The more that I healed, I want to teach more, right? And not just teach what the curriculum says, not just teach what the school says, because I'm seeing where people are broken. I'm seeing where there are so many spaces that people need healing, and they need these kind of conversations. They need to be called out to their actions. And so many people are not in the space of calling themselves out. So that's why I feel like that's what makes me a unique teacher and a coach, because a lot of the stuff that I coach people through, I walk through that. So you talking about crazy anger issues, I walk through that. You talking about detachment issues and being in unhealthy connections, knowing that's not what you want, knowing that's not what God wants, and walking away. I've done that, and I've had to go through these different things. So I'm not ever speaking from I'm never going to have you feel like you should be ashamed of what you're doing, because I'm not ashamed of my past. I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of all the things that I've done in my past. But I also understand that I had to make an intentional decision. And I want other people to know you can also make an intentional decision and you can change. Change can happen. Change can happen. It doesn't have to stay the way that it is today. You can change all of that about whatever it is that you don't like about yourself, whatever it is that the things that you're acting on, and you know that's not who you really want to be. And that's really what it comes down to. When I started, and this all started with during my weight loss journey. The first aha moment I had was when I realized my attachment at that time to Chinese food. I had a bad day at work. Like, it was horrible. So much unfairness going on at work. And I was just all this anger, all these emotions. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to be the activist at work. And I remember walking, and this is when I was like, am I healthy? I'm starting my journey. So this is maybe within the first 3 months. So I'm meal prepping. I have food at home already. And I remember walking, and I was about to stop at the Chinese restaurant and get chicken wings and french fries. And it was like the Holy Spirit stopped me. Something stopped me. And it was like, why? You already have food at home. You don't want this. This is just you thinking that you want this. The anger is telling you, get the chicken wings and french fries. So that while you're standing there, you can be calling or texting someone to tell them about what happened, right? So it was like a whole strategy that I was seeing, right? And like it's like you're feeding into it even more, because you're going to be doing this, going to have this 10 to 15 minute gap that you're going to be able to pour out more anger and more frustration. Go home. Go home, settle down, eat the food that you have at home. That is going to give you the nutrients that you need. I had vegetables at home waiting for me. I had grilled chicken or something that was healthier than chicken wings and french fries from the Chinese restaurant. And then I had to make that decision. And I remember, like, dang, it wasn't that I was addicted to Chinese food. Every time that I got angry, I wanted Chinese food. And because I was angry so often about the smallest thing, look, I lived in New York City. Somebody steps on your new sneakers, you ready to fight. Like, that was really, unfortunately, that was really how we live. Like, you step on my sneakers, yeah, I'm ready to thump. So we walking around with all this anger, and I realized, like, no, that was really when I started to relax. That was really 2013, 2012 when I started that journey was when I started to relax and let that stuff go. Because I was carrying so much anger. Nobody needs to be carrying that much. And so that's why I say, when I hear and I see certain things, yo, I'm thankful, God. Like I said, multiple times this weekend, I'm reading, I'm listening, I'm like, man, thank you, God. Because I would have did the same thing, or I would have did worse. Like, that was my thinking sometimes, man. I would have did so. And now you getting riled up unnecessarily. So there is so much beauty. And if you feel like there's not a possibility for you to change, that you've been this way your entire life, oh, I was born this way, I'm here to tell you, no, you were not born that way. You can still change. This is an intentional decision, and it takes action. It takes dedication, and it takes accountability for yourself, because you have to be accountable for you to say, yeah, this ain't it. This ain't it. Like, that's it. This is not it. I'm not doing it. Leave me alone. I'm not handling it this way. And that's it. Right. So I wanted to share this message, and I hope that this resonated with somebody out there. Right. Share this with someone. Share it on your timeline, on or your stories, whatever. Because someone out there is struggling with this. Is struggling. And then there's someone out there who has gone through the journey. And I want to tell you, congratulations for overcoming and outgrowing all of those unhealthy habits and relationships and things that you used to do, and you no longer do it. And you're trying to just do the right thing every single day. Because look, it's not easy. Some days it's not easy. Some days you really got to like fight a little bit harder to stay on the positive side of life, because life can continue to hurt you. People hurt you, anything can happen, but we have that control over ourselves. Okay. So I am your girl, Tanisha Shanae. We'll be back here on Wednesday. I know I'll be talking. I'll be trying to keep this under 20 minutes. All right. I appreciate you all, for those who are here, who are watching live, and those who are watching on the replay. Hashtag replay, so I know that you was at least here with me. All right. Have a good one. Be well and be blessed.
Wow, Tanisha, that was a powerful message. I hope everyone was blessed by today's message. Listen, if you are not tuned in, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Meet us for morning inspiration with friends every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. ish CT time. See you next time, friend.